You're listening to the Deadly Uncle Podcast,
a safe space for deadly uncle conversations.
So next up on our list, we have Curtis Cardinal, the owner of Tee Pee Treats.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Curtis, talk about the work he does in the community, and you can learn a little bit about his journey from homelessness to selling bannock out of his backpack, all the way to his dine-in restaurant and collab right here in Edmonton. What's your elevator pitch for Curtis Cardinal?
So, I guess I got into this this business by, hard work. I've been wanting to do something for a long time, and I help with my mother. She used to cook when I was like 4 years old, grade 1. I remember going to her restaurant and helping her at lunchtime and working on the lunch orders there. It was called Beachway Cafe or something in Slave Lake a long time ago. But I've always had cooking in my blood. My aunties help, because I watched them. Many of them were cooks and would volunteer their cooking or would cook at big functions in Wabasca. So at first I wanted to be a huge rap star, but that didn't work out. I kind of, was lost in addictions for a long time. I had to snap out of it and work my way out of being at rock bottom. So, cooking helped me heal in a way that, when I cook, it takes me away from everything else that's going on around me, like negative things. When I was younger, my parents would always drink, and they, like on weekends, and I would keep myself busy by picking up the mess. There's like bottles everywhere and cans and this huge mess and huge, like a lot of cans and bottles everywhere. So I'd clean up the mess. So I think with this business that helps me heal, I know it can heal others. I know it does. It's just... because bannock is a comfort food, so most of our dishes are confused with bannock or come with bannock, and the soups. We get people coming in to the kitchen that have, they say, okay, this reminded me of my mom when I was younger. Like the bannock smell or the soup,
kokum.
Or their kokum,
Yeah.
or their kokum, yeah. So. It helped. So I'm helping heal in that way other people that are coming in. So it's really amazing to be doing this right now.
What's the name of your business? We didn't even
say
that at the start.
Tee Pee Treats Indigenous Cuisine is
there
the
we
name.
go.
How I got that name was I used to sell my bannock and backpacks at powwows every summer. When I started, I think it was 2009 or 2010, I would just make a whole bunch of bannock and pack it into 2 backpacks, and I'd head out. I'd find a ride out to wherever the powwow was and sell it out there. But then there was this one time I got caught by people that were they were going around looking for people selling stuff that weren't supposed to. I called them the bannock police. Because,
The bannock cops are coming.
That might be that's a really catchy name. You might have to make something out of the bannock police, my friend.
You should write a rap about the bannock police.
The bannock police. So they came around and they were asking, well, I need your they need a permit and all this stuff, and I was like, well, I don't have one. So they basically chased me out of there. But on my way out, there was this teepee. So I went behind this teepee and I posted, I think, on my Facebook. I said, I'm over here by this teepee if you're here at this powwow to get bannock, right? So they wouldn't catch me.
Yeah, you're on the outskirts.
Yeah. And so I was looking at this teepee and like I need to, because I was thinking of a name before that, like in about a month. I was looking for a name, trying to figure out a good name. And then this teepee, it was like right in front of me, and I was like just sitting there waiting for someone to come get bannock because they had messaged me. And then I stared at this teepee for a while, and I was like, hey, this is, like I was going through different names, teepee something, teepee, like Tee Pee Cafe or teepee something, and Tee Pee Treats caught my ear when I was saying it, you know.
It rolls good off your tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah, it rolls good off your tongue, and it is a treat. Like,
yeah.
You everybody that, you know, comes out there.
I'd have to treat it as a treat for sure.
Yeah, that comes to the dine-in. They're like, oh, you got some good treats.
Yeah.
You're so good. I love your bannock treats. So, you know, like and also with that, I designed a logo with the teepees, and like I wanted it to be like kind of like a medicine wheel kind of design, because I went to school for digital design school. What was in 2010 too? I was going through all that stuff with alcohol and
yeah,
and I was like, and then, you know, that came up. So I put a Facebook page up in 2010, Tee Pee Treats, already. Like I knew what I was gonna do then. So after that was it was a different story. Like I kind of went through the alcohol and drugs, and, you know, it's been a long journey, and I can't describe how well it's going, and it's just no words. There's so much support, and, you know, people are loving the food.
Yeah,
that's unbelievable. How does it feel to, you know, contribute to your community, and you know, you're employing people too as well? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, like, to me, community is a big part of my life and a big part of how I got sober. So I had went to Boyle Street when I was like at my lowest point. I went there and I sat there at lunchtime, and I had nowhere to go, no money, like just my bag and full of clothes. So I was like, I need to change my life around. I didn't know what to do. And then I met, what the heck is her name? One of the counselors there, I totally forgot her name. But anyway, she pointed me in the right direction. About what I needed to do, about how to get it, you know, into rehab, and then from rehab just to get my own place, and then, you know, be just, you know, not to be so, what's that word again? Because I was always moving place to place. I was always like
transient,
stable. Yeah, I need to be stable, like on how to be stable, you know. Yeah. My whole life, because I must have moved into like 40 to 50 different places, all in northern Alberta. My parents split up when I was 4. So I was either living with one parent, like moving back and forth, and then to my grandparents, and then like to my aunties when I was older.
Yeah.
So that's how my life has been for like how many years?
And that's all in the Edmonton area here?
Well, it's all northern Alberta.
Northern Alberta.
Yeah.
So when you were at your lowest point and you went to Boyle Street and you said this woman helped guide you into certain areas, were there any like men-specific programs available for you at the time to like just like get together with other men and talk about your addictions and talk about the problems that led you to your addictions? Because that's kind of what we're trying to do here, is provide a platform for men to feel that it's okay to talk about this stuff, and and to show people that people overcome this, right? Like, people overcome that lowest point and they find their way through, and they can become successful, such as yourself, right?
I don't recall if there was any men's programs back then, but one of the programs she did guide me to was the Homeward Trust housing, housing.
Housing First.
Housing First. So that was the program I went to. That's okay, my girl. Here you go. You could grab that. Go watch that, please. Thank you. So it was Housing First that she introduced me to. So what I needed to do was how to get my stuff together, and like what I need to do was because I was on income support.
Yep.
And then needed to like go through them, and then
I actually worked for Homeward Trust for 5 years. I know
nice.
It's a really good program for people to get into. So tell it actually from your perspective, because I can tell it from my perspective, but that's the other side, right? So it's good for people to hear somebody talk about them. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
Yeah, so no, that program just like really changed my life, because the first place I had got was through them, through Homeward Trust, and like I went to rehab through 3 different times at Poundmaker's Lodge. The first 2 I was like lost, and like I didn't really work on myself. I didn't try to work on myself. I just went, and that was it. I came out, hung around with the same people, and then started drinking again and stuff. So and then the second time I did the same thing. The third time was when I went through the
Housing First program.
Housing First program. Yeah, so it was really life-changing for me, because when I got into my first apartment, they would help me with like whatever I needed help with, whether it be rides or laundry or whatever. And I think that when I did move in there, my train of thought kind of switched, because I was always struggling. I was always used to struggling. There, I had my own space. It was my space. I could do whatever I want. It was a new beginning for me. So starting from beginning, as being a sober person. So eventually went to different, I was going to AA. I was going to meetings. I started working as a roofer in the summer. I did that. And then like music would also, while I was in Poundmakers, music helped me like heal also, because I was writing in there, and I was, writing songs in there, and I was learning more about myself than I ever was when I was drinking.
That's awesome. And just an aside for people that are watching and want to know more about the Housing First program, there are a few things that you need to qualify for the Housing First program. One of the things is you have to be homeless for at least a year. But that's not homeless in the sense that everybody thinks. That means you can't have had a lease in your name for at least a year. One thing that most people don't understand, especially in the Indigenous community, is that we have a huge homeless population of people that live with their families as well. Yeah. Like we have a huge hidden homeless population, people that live in their auntie's basements or whatever, all those people qualify for Housing First if they go in and ask for the supports. It takes time to get through the list or whatever to get assigned to a team, but what they do is, like Curtis said, is they help you with damage deposit, your first month's rent. They help you with a rental subsidy for the first year of your thing. They help you with startup groceries, startup furniture through Fine Furniture Bank. Honestly, I've seen it change many lives, and I've seen there have been struggles with the program as well, but I do believe that if you are in a situation that you need help with, it doesn't hurt to go out and ask for help. Like
looking back
amazing.
Back at that, I don't realize how much they helped me, like it was really needed for me back then, because I didn't know how to do some stuff, like no one's, you go from living like couch surfing out on the street, and then right into your own space. It's kind of hard to like figure out what you can and cannot do, but you learn fast, because I can't do that, like
and you find out right away, right? Like your landlord contacts your worker, and then sometimes they're able to negotiate you to be able to stay there, right? Like they explain to your landlord that you're in a period of transition, that they'll help you with any problems you're having in the building, and it doesn't always work out, but most of the time it does. Like it works for people to help them get situated, like you said, like get your mind into that set of, this is my place, this is what I can do, I'm safe here, right? And that's a big thing for a lot of people, is finding safety, right?
It's amazing. I just want to quickly check something, boys. Just quickly pause this. Make sure that.
It shuts off sometimes. He's just got to hit record again.
Yeah, it's good. I'm just going to redo it. All right. Sorry about that, boys.
Yeah, so this is where learning and trying to find yourself comes in. And this is where I was doing different things like music, and I was doing like just odd jobs and here and there while I was at that place, my first apartment. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, but cooking was always in the back burner, right? It was always there. I knew that I loved to do it because the first time I ever made bannock, my dad's it was my dad's ex-girlfriend. So she's like, Curtis, make some bannock. I know you know how to make it. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know how to make it. And I don't know how old I was, like 16, 15. And then she said, sure you do. Just go. I'll show you what you need to put in it. So the first time I made bannock, it was really good. It was really, like, she said it was like some of the best bannock she ever had. So going back to that apartment is when I met, Ian Gladue was always, we're cousins. And then that's when Ian came up to me, I think it was 2013. He's like, hey, so I'm going to start this food truck or this food cart downtown. He I was already making bannock before then, since 2010, and I was doing my own thing. So he said, hey, would you like to help me? Would you like to get something really awesome started? So I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. And I looked at the cart. It was like a little tiny cart, like a little bit. I was like, okay, this might work. This might work. So I worked with him for about 3 years. But in the beginning, it's funny because I was making, in that same apartment, I called it my little bannock factory. And I had like fryers here, over here, kind of like how this is.
This is our little factory,
So like I had like 3-4 fryers, and I'd just make bannock in there all summer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was like, so once you get sober, you find what, you kind of find your way. You have to like maneuver around, or you have to like search for what it is that your heart desires, right? I mean, for you it's music. Not sure what it is you do, but I'm
a musician as well.
And yeah, music too. So, once you get sober, you find yourself, basically. But it doesn't happen right away. It could happen like 4 or 5 years later, but you manifest what you say or what you pray about. But you also got to put a lot of work. You got to do a lot of work on yourself. You got to put in that effort, like 50, 60%, 70% effort, and the rest will fall into place.
Totally. What's your, you were talking about, your logo and stuff, and I see you have a really awesome medallion here. Can you tell us a bit about that and who made it? And it's really awesome. It's huge. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I designed a logo. I redesigned it. I had a cheap logo with just like a teepee and like some lettering. A real Chimax teepee, was really small. And then, so Fridna Orr made this last year for me. It's really awesome. Fridna Orr, she's from Edmonton-area, back where I used to live back home. The logo, it took me, I think it was 5-6 hours. I did it in one day. I was like, I knew what I wanted.
Yeah.
The redesign was already in my head. I just had to put the pieces together. And I sat there, and one morning I just got on the computer. I was like, okay, well, this is what I want. It was all in my head. Boom, boom. I put it all together. And it just so happened to turn out so amazing. Like, it just, the brand of, like, Tee Pee Treats Indigenous Cuisine, it's eye-popping. It's like the name is what catches people also. But not only that, there's like a feathers on here. There's teepees,
nice.
You know, there's arrows. It has a little fork and a spoon in the middle there. It just means a lot to me. Not only food, it means culture too. You know, it means medicine wheel and the feathers, and it just everything that Tee Pee Treats is about.
Your last event there, you fed over how many people in the community? And, you know, it's funny because we talk about food as healing. And Trent and I used to party. I haven't drank in about 13 years ish or something.
It's only been 3 for me, but
yeah. But we used to party hard.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we used to kind of enjoy on the Sunday was hangover soup, as people know what that is. But at the event when you fed all the people, we had a woman who was coming down off of drugs. And or she was going into a little bit of a fit, and when you handed her the food, she seemed to calm down and go to the wall and enjoy the music and the food. So talk about that, how that was, yeah.
So yeah, at this event, we call it Tee Pee Treats Giving Back to the Streets. So every year, we give back to streets by the community donating. We get a bunch of donations together. Clothing. We do like a clothing drive. Yeah. We do like free soup and bannock and burgers and whatever else.
Entertainment.
And entertainment was a really big thing this year. It was amazing. So everything that is there is either free or sponsored. So we had a sponsor this year from Astem Autos. They paid for the venue, and it really helps when the community comes together to feed the less fortunate, because what we did there was like bring community together, not only just businesses and whatnot, but the community that's living in the rough, our brothers and sisters that are out there struggling on the streets, those are the ones that really need that help during this time. And any time I was once out there where I was like, struggling out on the street, or I was living from couch to couch, or I was, residential schools has a big part in this, because a lot of them are survivors of residential school. A lot of them are, addicted to drugs and alcohol. And the one lady that was there, she was really, I think she was coming down off drugs, and she just, she started to like, I don't know, she was screaming out, and she was, and I told Buddy, not to be aggressive towards her. So I said, well, I'll grab her something to eat. So I went and grabbed a bannock burger. Yep. And I just said, here, have something to eat, to go sit down, like calmly, and she grabbed it, and she went and sat over the wall where he was playing he was getting ready to play his flute and drum. He was getting drum. Yeah. The drum. He was getting ready to drum. And as soon as she was gonna eat that, the drum went, and she just kind of slid down the wall like this on her back, and she ate, and the drum and the food just totally just like calmed her right down.
Yeah, more than any restraint or any police could have done. I think that it goes to show you how food and music and community is our medicine in our community, and it's important, and here we are doing this for men's health. And I just got like one more question for you on my part is, how important do you think it is to have, you know, a men's collective almost, or men celebrating men, or men's programs, you know, because we do see a lot of programs for our Indigenous women. So I think it's, you know, important for us to see that for our men, but we can't expect our women to run these. We have to be able to do it ourselves. But I just want to know your opinion on, you know, men's programs and you know, things like this, like a men's podcast.
I think it's very important that men support each other, you know, especially men that have families, and you don't understand like what a person is going through, you know, like especially working man that has, like, you know, bills to pay, groceries to get, you know, kids to feed, and you know, a lot of them are dealing with addictions still to this day. You know, it's very important to get more like men's programs, like a collective, you know, and this podcast like this. I myself was thinking of, I think it was like last week or 2 weeks, of starting a drum group or a drum like practice at our building there at
That's
Collab.
beautiful. And
it's got a nice space there. I mean, I just have to talk to Collab and see what they think about that. You know, I just think, I know a lot of women, like there's a lot of women programs. There just needs to be more men, you know, and our young men need to be guided in a good way, and not always have to like go through hoops and go through this and that. But, you know, our native men that are older need to help our younger men.
Yeah, I totally agree. Trent, do you have any other questions or anything?
I'm just thinking about what you just said.
Okay, I do have something since this popped up. My fucking squirrely brain. Oops, excuse me. Sorry. You went to Pawmakers twice. There's a praying space in there.
Yep.
Right. So one of the things that I wanted to know about is there's not too many places for Indigenous people to pray besides treatment centers.
Yeah, you're right.
What is your opinion on having a center just like Pawmakers right in the heart of Edmonton and every major city that's a safe place to pray for people that are not going through a treatment program?
I think, yeah, that would be a wonderful idea. It would help so many people that, you know, a lot of them don't know how to pray. You know, they don't know how to, like, you know, pray to the Creator or whoever. Like, it's because what happened in residential school that, you know, really affected their way of living, right? And it kind of made a boomerang effect onto, like, the younger people. So, I mean, that would be a really great idea. If you know, because for me, Poundmakers Lodge and like the sweats where I go pray is where I made the most healing, you know, because I'm by myself and I could pray. Well, I'm not by myself, but you're in there, you know, with people, but sitting in the dark and praying, you kind of feel like you're by yourself. But people that I didn't really understand at first how it was about, but the spirits are there also with you. I didn't know that before, and when I felt their presence while being in there, it really changed my life, you know, and it really helped me to where I am at right now, because when you pray, everything you pray for happens. It just doesn't happen right away. It happens whenever. It could be tomorrow, it could be 5-10 years from now, you know, and those prayers that I prayed for at Poundmakers, everything I have prayed for, I've got it now.
Beautiful, yeah.
And it's really healing, and it's really something that that is needed, especially in our centers, in the downtown centers.
Yes, in our centers, because a lot of Indigenous people can't make it out to the reserve. And then also, I think we need to change our mindset as Indigenous people, thinking that we have to be out on our own land. We should be able to do sweats right here, just like people are able to go to church. How many different places are there for people to pray, compared to Indigenous people? I think we should have the same opportunity, a safe place to pray that's also taken care of, indoor and outdoor, so it's just I thought I would ask you about that.
Yep.
I just want to do a quick recap for people that maybe are just going to join us. So Curtis, you started selling bannock out of your backpack in 2010. You overcame addictions, you overcame homelessness. You started Tee Pee Treats out of it was a trailer, wasn't it? At first?
Well,
you were in your apartment. Then you moved on to a trailer, was it not?
So I worked with Native Delights for 3 years, and then I started doing my own thing out of my house. I eventually moved into a house.
That's how it works,
where I started catering out of there first. In 2018 is when I got my license for Tee Pee Treats, and from there we just been killing it with the bannock.
And
stuff.
Now you have the sit-down restaurant. Give the address for everybody so they know.
Our dine-in location is at 9641 102 Ave, downtown Edmonton.
Okay, so anything's possible. You guys, listen to that list. He started selling something out of his backpack. Now he's got a restaurant. He employs people. He gives back to the community. Is there anything you want to say to anybody before we leave, or just any positive words for people that are trying to figure this shit out? I would
just say, do what you love to do, work hard at what you love to do, and don't give up. Those are the three most important things that anybody could do in their life, and at first it's going to be very hard. But once you get through the hard part, things will fall into place, and it'll be smooth sailing from there.
That's right. Nothing worth doing is easy.
Nope.
That's right. Nope. Uncles for uncles, men celebrating men's achievements, and that's what this is about. And we're going to be celebrating many different guests, and we're so excited to be able to do this. Thank you so much for coming in today, Curtis.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
And Curtis Cardinal is definitely a deadly uncle. There you go.
Deadly uncle. Yes.
Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.
You're listening to the Deadly Uncle Podcast,
a safe space for deadly uncle conversations.